motion that the meeting be called to order?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Can somebody take some notes?
Sure.
Are you sure?
Paper. Yeah.
A second right now.
There you go.
All right.
Commissioners,
I'm sorry,
have-
who seconded it?
I did.
Joe.
Okay.
Commissioners, have you had time to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioners, do you have any changes to the minutes? I make a motion that the minutes be accepted as written.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
None showing opposed. Joe, would you like to start with your report, sir?
Sure. Okay, been in talks with LMPD for the last couple months. I'm sure everybody's seen the radar device that's here.
Yes.
He told me it would be a few weeks, and then he'd probably come and get it for somebody else, but it's been here over a month.
It's dead.
I drove by it today, and it didn't light up.
Yeah, it's dead.
Oh, it's
I don't
been
come
lined
this
up
way
in the
very
truck.
often.
Yeah, it's been working, but it's dead. It's been dead for about a week or two now.
Okay, I'll reach out to him, he'll probably take it, but I'll see if we can.
Yeah, it just needs it charged. I mean,
Yeah, and it's solar.
it's
so
solar, but
Maybe it's not, there's no trees there.
it should be fine.
It should be,
We've had a lot of sun.
Yeah, so I mean, so it should be fine, but, okay, I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
no worries, so I'll reach back out to him, and, I guess there was one call for service this past month that ended up on Rolling Creek Road. Other than that, Sheepdog, our security, has written 16 citations and 6 parking tickets. They've been in the city this past month for 100 hours. So, schedule is still changing and different times, but so far so good with communication with them. He comes by, we speak often. So yeah, no issues there. And that's all I got.
Good, thank you. Lois?
Okay, our bank balances in the checking account, we have $19,094. General savings, $150,788. Road fund, $63,185. Park money market, $177,195. We need to transfer $10,000 from the general savings to the checking to cover the upcoming month's expenses. We also need to transfer $6,975 from the road fund to the checking to reimburse for the snow removal bills we have. We have received $20,547 in municipal insurance tax payments for the quarter ending 12/31/25. Okay, so again, our checking account balance is $19,000.94. Anticipated.
$19,094.
What? Can I not talk tonight? Am I dyslexic or what? Checking account balance is $19,094. The anticipated need for upcoming bills is $24,000 with a reserve amount of $5,000. So I make a motion to transfer $10,000 from the money market savings to the checking to cover this month's bills.
I'll second.
Any,
All those in favor?
Any opposed? Okay, then I also need to make a motion to transfer $6,975 for snow removal expense from the road fund to the checking account. There was 2 invoices, one for $6,200 and one for $775.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Okay. Remington?
The flags were swapped out, the American state flag, so they should look fresh and new. That state flag was pretty battered. Yep, I completely forgot to follow up with Nani about the light that's out in front of the house, so I'll do that.
Shame on
Sorry
you.
about
How
that. I know, I said I would and I didn't, so
Oh, no.
apologies. So,
Forget my dogs anyway.
it's,
I reported the streetlights that are out on Cross Creek and Switch Park. We had 4 out on Cross Creek, 2 out on Switch Park, and then I saw another one blinking somewhere. But I don't remember where I was when I saw it, sorry.
it's okay. I need to report the one that's on Elm Street.
Yeah, so, Nani?
I don't have anything going on. Our Easter egg hunt is going to be, hold that thought.
Have we confirmed with the Easter Bunny?
We have not, and I need to do that, so.
I would suggest before we put the dates out, that we confirm with them first.
Yeah, of course, these dates too are, and I've said it, they are flexible, but that's just kind of something to go on, but yeah.
I would just start putting to be determined so that people don't mark it on their calendar. Since we had to change it so many times last time for the Christmas, that we just put to be determined. That way it doesn't create that confusion. But when are you thinking that you're gonna have it?
March 29th, on a Sunday from 3 to 4.
Fairly this year.
Mm-hmm. The spring break,
Sorry.
yeah. So.
That's all I have.
Okay. Looks like we've got some old business. We had, a request, commissioners, to review the rental ordinance. Everyone's been provided a copy of the rental ordinance. We've received a letter from someone who owns property in the city asking us to review our requirements and asking us to review and look at the fee that is charged for the rental ordinance. There's a little bit of history. I know some of you have been here, some of you have not been here. And I did double check with our, a couple of different lawn crews that we have dealt with and done business with. And we have in the past had to have grass cut, things cleaned up around properties. We've had to repair the street in front of properties. We have, had to hire security for some of the rental situations that were going on. We had one that was this was long before Airbnbs were popular, and they were renting by the day and by the hour. So we had to incur some security expenses there. We have 3 rental properties within the city limits. And, the ordinance was originally adopted for this very reason, that if the city were to have to step in any way, shape, or form to maintain the property or address any legal issues with the owner or the tenants, that it is not something that creates a hardship on the city. And like I said, we have had to utilize it in the past. We did utilize it this past summer for property on Switch Park. And we utilized it for a property on Watch Hill. So it is something that we have had to utilize that did not result in a deficit to city funds. So they have asked that we review it to see if we are in favor of altering the ordinance in any form or fashion.
He's had his hand up.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, he can wait till I'm discussing it with my commissioners. This is the only time we get to do business, so we'll ask for questions in a moment. But I would like for you to weigh in on your thoughts and any questions or concerns that you may have. But I did want you to know that we have had to utilize it, and it is something that is very common with home rule cities.
So my initial thoughts are, do we know within the last year about how much we've spent for
It's $350 if we have to have someone come in and cut a grass on a property
every
that
time
is
we have
not
to
out.
use them? Okay, yeesh. Okay, and that happened twice. So,
Not to count the fees that we incur with our attorney, that's
yeah,
above,
about the
yeah, that's above and beyond our normal scope of retainer.
do you have a monetary
He's
amount?
about $150 an hour. I think he
Okay.
charged us $125 last time. It
Per
was-
hour, how much
Well,
total, do we know how many hours he spent working it?
I did not look up his invoice, but
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So, another thought I have is, so it was $500 and then we increased it to $1,000, and presumably it's because the $500 wasn't meeting a goal, right? Well, actually, I think that my previous question answered this question. So is 1,000 the right amount, or like, did we overcorrect at all? Is there any room to scale back at least a little bit? Not necessarily down to 75, but 750.
When I look at it, and I did a little bit of research around, it is one of the higher in the city, but it is not unreasonable for the fees that we incur should we have to
Right.
take action. It also amounts to about $83 and change per month, because we know it's passed on to the person renting the home.
Okay.
So I understand that someone is renting a home, but we're looking at $83 a month, or say $84 a month, because it's $83 and some change that's passed on.
Okay.
And in this neighborhood, the median rental is between $1,900 and $2,600 a month. And I just Googled that.
Okay. Those are my only thoughts. Thank you.
Okay.
So, I was looking at the video from last meeting. I understand why we did what we did. You know, I was part of the vote, and I'm okay with that. But hearing the concern, I didn't see who it was, but hearing the concern that was brought up, I can sympathize with that. Especially, I think the thing that stuck out the most to me was if you do have a landlord or an owner that is in good standing, I don't think it would be harmful to cut them a break, you know, lower the price for
But an
someone.
ordinance, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do
No,
that. and
an
you don't
an ordinance
know.
is a law, and you can't pick and choose. An ordinance is blanket.
Okay.
You can't pick and choose who you apply that ordinance to and who you don't.
Like just for landlords or people
right,
renting
just-
in general?
You can't pick and choose. It's blanket. It's the rental ordinance, and that's the way it is, because that becomes a personal interpretation of, yeah, you're taking good care of your property.
Right.
You know, oh, no, you're not taking good care of your property. You know, that becomes an interpretation, and that's not what the ordinance is designed to do.
Even if it's, I guess, no infractions of our ordinance or city metro ordinance?
And that's not the way the ordinances are written.
Okay. Well, that answers my question.
Yeah, yeah. Lois, any questions? Melanie, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, and you have your hand up, sir.
Yeah, a couple of issues with what you said. Property tax, is meant to cover the majority of the costs that you said that the city would incur from those specific instances. There's also nothing to differentiate between a rental property incurring those, where you have to take care of the yard or fix the road, I think was one that you mentioned. That could happen at someone's house that they own too. I mean, they might not take care of their property, so that's the risk you take with someone living there.
It has been proven that persons who live and reside are usually more apt to take care of the properties. than persons who don't, or conglomerates
That's
that
your
own.
personal opinion, that's not
Well,
fact, you're just
I'm-
drawing from your own personal
I'm
opinion.
going from what I have encountered here in the city.
Also, the $1,900 to $2,600, where did you get that
I
number?
Googled it, median rental in homes in.
They don't put, nobody
Hollow Creek.
posts that online.
I Googled it.
Okay, what website did you find it on? Because that's not
Probably
accurate,
Zillow.
$1,900.
I'm not going to debate that with you, I did Google it, and that's what it came up, and that's what my note says, so, but you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to mine.
Yeah, and so, back to my original point, property tax is meant to cover all this stuff, and clearly the city has
Well-
money, they spent money on this house.
Well, are you familiar with the city and home rule cities and how they work?
I am very familiar.
Okay, so you understand that as a home rule city, the commissioners and the mayor have the authority to set ordinances that they seem necessary and fit
Right.
to maintain the city.
But you also can't encroach on private property, personal rights for private properties.
Well, when you're within the city of
Um,
Hollow Creek, there are certain rules and regulations that you have to follow, our ordinances being one of them.
I'm not debating whether you have to follow the ordinances or not. I'm
Well,
debating
and
the
our
merits
rental
of this
ordinance is an ordinance that has been adopted, it's been in place for a number of years.
Yeah, and I'm debating the merit of this ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
And also you mentioned other home rule cities doing similar ordinances, that's actually
There are
false.
actually some
There's not
cities
a-
that don't
there's not a-
allow
There's not a
rentals.
single city in the entire, there's not a single home rule city in the entire Louisville metro area that charges $1,000 for rental.
They do charge others.
St. Matthews was the highest one I could possibly find for long-term rentals, and they charged $250.
Well, but look at the capacity of St. Matthews and look at the capacity of Hollow Creek.
Okay, name one place where they charge $1,000.
Again,
There
look at the
are no other
capacity of
cities
the
that
other
do that.
cities and look at our capacity. As I previously stated, we had a couple of instances over the years where it has cost us money.
I mean, that's fine, but there's no stated purpose in your ordinance that says what the purpose of the rental ordinance is for.
So our ordinance was written by a very competent attorney and it
I
was
don't
legally
debate that
binding.
fact. I don't debate that fact.
Well,
I'm not debating the legality of it.
I'm gonna tell you, based on what I've heard and what I've seen and the interaction, I am not in favor of redoing our ordinance. It would take 2 readings before it's passed, normal procedure, but I do not support, I will back my commissioners on whatever they decide, but I am not in favor of reducing the ordinance. You choose to own rental property in our city, then you pay the fee to do so.
I mean, yeah, you can choose to do what you want, but I'm telling you that what you're doing is not really right.
It is legal and above board. We have followed all the rules. But again, if you
Well,
choose
that's
to,
for another time to debate,
if
but
you choose to own rental
Right
property
now.
within the city of Hollow Creek, then you will abide by the rules and regulations of the city of Hollow Creek. We do have an ordinance in place. I don't know whether you were made aware of that when you purchased your rental property or not. That's between you and your
I
realtor.
purchased the property and lived there for 8 years.
Okay, well then, as a resident here, you should have been aware of the ordinances in place.
We're debating the merit of the ordinance, not whether I should have been aware of it or not.
Well, the ordinance, like I said, is well-written.
So the commissioners should make their own decision based on whether this ordinance has merit to it or not.
Commissioners, are you in favor of revisiting and rewriting the ordinance?
I'm okay with revisiting it, because I know we do have a new member here since the last time it was done. But I'm okay, I know why we did this, okay?
Right.
When I got on, or right before I got on, we incurred a lot of expenses from people neglecting their houses, right? It is unfortunate because you seem to be the only one that is, not challenging, but just not okay with paying that. And I salute that, I think that's great. But there is a reason why we did this, so I love hearing you out, and I think you bring up some good points. It's just unfortunate that the one that I agree the most with, we can't do anything.
I'm not saying that there's not a reason to do it,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that the amount is not justified.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
No,
That's your
it's
opinion
based
and you're
on-
entitled
it's
to it.
Based on data, there's not another city, there's no other cities in Kentucky that charge this high of a
It,
rental.
it doesn't matter. We don't have to defend the amount that we charged.
You do, and you also have to state why you're charging this.
And the ordinance says what it's for,
It doesn't say its purpose, and
so, again,
could you read the section to me where it says?
I am
what the
not in
purpose
favor
is?
of revisiting the ordinance or changing the ordinance in any way. This is an ordinance that has been in place for quite some time. And I feel like there's other things that we could spend time
To be
doing.
perfectly honest with you, I've contacted the state legislature, and there are state representatives that agree with me, and that said that this is absurd, that a home rule city would charge $1,000, and so they will get involved if this goes on.
And that's their prerogative. They're getting involved right now.
They got involved with Louisville Metro, that's why Louisville
They're-
Metro decreased theirs to $75.
Well, and Louisville Metro has a lot more houses than we do
It
to
doesn't
collect
matter how
those
many
from.
houses you have.
I don't,
That's not
it
that's not-
does
that's
because
not
it
the
offsets the
rationale.
expenses that you incur.
That's not the
The
rationale.
more houses
for
that you
how-
have.
That's not the rationale for how high you can set a rental registry fee.
Well, if you'd like, you can contact our attorney. He will definitely call you back. His name is Stan Shaban, and I'll be glad to give you his contact information. And you and he can discuss. We follow his advice.
I mean,
He
we
wrote
hear
the-
from the rest of the people.
He wrote the ordinance,
What they wanna listen to.
and it has been in good standing for a number of years. And so, I don't know that any member here is willing to change
just
that,
said he
but
wants to
he could
revisit
revisit it, yes.
But it's a vote,
But-
right? Like I could want to revisit it, but if we don't want to, then
Okay.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like this,
Everyone has one vote, one say so,
Yeah.
Lois?
It was at $500 and we were losing, and that's why we increased it to 1,000. There's a lot of cities that won't even allow a piece of rental property in their city. I'm not really in favor of revisiting it. If I did, I wouldn't change it by much, so.
So, I know, Mr. Kennedy, right?
Yes.
I know you pointed out that, we shouldn't be using other properties as an example, but just back of the napkin math, for 3 houses, in the city, $75 doesn't cover, it only covers a small fraction of the cost which is incurred when a property is out of compliance. So I'm completely in favor of revisiting it to see if, like, if $500 wasn't cutting it. The $1,000 might be an overcorrection, right? So I'm in favor of revisiting it to see if we need to scale it back to hit something that's a little bit more reasonable. But I'm not in favor of getting rid of it completely.
At first I would have said, let's revisit it, but then after listening to your explanation of we can't change it for each individual depending on how well they keep up their property, because that was my thinking. If that's off the table, then I still just keep it.
But, I mean, what makes you say that you can't? Louisville Metro they have a rental registry fee, and you don't have to pay the rental registry fee if you maintain good standing for 2 years.
That's not the way ours is written,
Okay, but you can make it that way.
but that's not the way ours is written.
Okay.
So ours is
but
written
you
the way
just
it
said
is
you can't
currently.
write it that way, but you actually can.
Well, we chose not to write it that way.
Okay, so she just said that she vote for revisiting
We
it.
chose not to write it that way for a reason, because then it comes into discretion. And we have lots of properties that
No,
have been.
it's very database, because then it's like, if someone doesn't have a citation, then for 2 years, then they drop off of the registry and they don't have to pay the fee.
Can you send the
Yeah.
ordinance number
The
to?
Louisville Metro, yeah.
Yeah. thank you.
Yeah, you can send that to us and we'll let our attorney look at it. But as it is written now, the ordinance stands for this, the way it's written.
What would you suggest if we would ever do that and give a break to the person that's kept the
Compliant.
property up for 2 or 3 years and took the fee away, but then the next year they let it go to, they don't take care of it. For whatever reason, maybe their health, maybe, there's just a lot of reasons that can cause that. So then what would we do?
I guess you're reinstate the fee at that point. But I still don't see how is a rental property any different from a home that's owned by the person.
Because people
Based
that
on your
rent
own
don't
subject-
take,
Based on your own opinion, like,
my opinion is, and,
Right, but
they
is
don't
there
take
any
as
data?
good a care as a homeowner.
but there's no data to support that.
If you read the news, if you know people, you know, I'm in insurance, I hear all kinds of stories. I know all kinds of stories with insurance and rental properties. Insurance companies don't even like to write rental homes, a lot of them. So there's reason for that. And it is the reason that a renter does not take care, and this is generalization, I realize that. Because there are some renters that take very good care of the property. But a lot of renters do not take care because they really have no skin in the game. They don't, you know, it's not their home, they don't take care of it like a homeowner would.
Yeah. I mean,
And that's proven, okay,
subjective.
whether you wanna believe it or not, that's
Subjective.
proven.
There's not- okay. That's subjective, I mean, there's no data to support that.
There is, because
There's
there's lots
nothing
of
that's gonna
boarded
convince
houses
you,
downtown.
there's nothing that's gonna convince you.
There's lots of boarded houses across Jefferson County and a slumlord list, so that is proven. That
Okay,
it's not
then you can also
necessarily,
go find houses that people own that they don't
You
take care of
can.
and that are boarded up
But,
and that the grass is
you know,
5 feet.
and we address those through property tax and liens. So,
Right, so why don't we just address the issues through property tax and liens with the
Because
properties
we-
that are also
we-
owned by someone?
we
but-
chose to go a different route in the city. And as a home rule city, we have that authority.
Again, we're not debating the authority of what the home rule city has.
Well, you just said, why did we do
We're
it? And I said,
debating the merits of the
Well,
ordinance, so.
again, there was a lot of history that went into this, and a lot of debate went into it when it was written, and this is what was settled upon. And, you know, it, based on what we've talked about tonight, it stands. You're more than welcome to send the ordinance. Remington can get with the attorney and explore that option, but, you know, as it stands tonight, the ordinance is as written, and we are in favor of revisiting it.
There were 2 people that just said they wanted to revisit it.
Yeah, but there were 3 that said they didn't. And the majority is the vote.
I mean, it seems like you just run the whole show.
Well, that's not true. I am the mayor and I am the voice, but I don't run the whole show. I polled every one of them. You sat right here and saw it. And I know it's, you know, disconcerting for you that you don't agree with the rental ordinance. But, you know, you were aware of it when you lived here. You were aware of it as a property owner and a landlord. So, and
Yeah, but I mean, does that make it just? No.
well, there are a lot of things in this world that are not just. There are a lot of things in this world that I don't agree with either. But this rental ordinance right here, I do agree with. And it is in the
Yeah,
best,
because you created.
it is in the best interest of the city of Hollow Creek. The rental ordinance was in place before I came. I didn't create it. I mean, you could smirk or sneer or whatever you want under your breath. It was in place when I came into office. I did vote to increase it because of the expenses that the city incurred taking care of rental property in the past.
Can you
Do
give
the
me a
math.
list of those expenses?
No, sir, I will not give you I just gave a list of the expenses, but I will not name the property that they were on, because that is an invasion of their privacy. There were 2 times we paid $350 for grass cutting, and there were legal expenses incurred. So,
You paid $350 for someone to cut a yard.
yes, we did.
Well, then I would say that you shouldn't have paid that much.
Well,
Should've
when
found
you have to
something else.
contract with someone that is taking on a job that can be putting them in a situation where there's not a contract, they're going on to someone else's property, yes, they can charge that amount. You know, sir, we did what we were instructed to do by our attorney. And if they wanted to charge us that, they charged us that. You are entitled to your opinion, and everyone else is as well. That's what the fee was, and we paid it. Do you have any further questions?
No, I mean, this is useless to
Well.
debate this right now.
I'm sorry that you feel that way, but, you know, the ordinance is in place for a reason. And you are definitely entitled to your opinion. Do we have any other old business? Commissioners? We did have the, garden that came up again, and I wasn't here last month, so I was not part of the discussion. But I can tell you, and I believe Nani, we spoke a little bit about this. I have been in touch with Metro Louisville Parks and Rec, and they will be doing a site visit to determine the best place on this property for park equipment and picnic equipment. I would say it's probably gonna be on the flat lot behind us, because it's pretty visible there, and it's already flat, but I can't say for sure, because they haven't done a site visit yet. When that happens, I will let you know when they're coming, so hopefully you can attend as well and get their ideas and ask them questions. So at this point, I say we table any garden discussions until we find out what Metro has to say about best placement for park and recreation.
Do they determine where it is, or that's just?
No,
a
they just
suggestion?
tell us like their best layout, and
For
it's,
success,
yeah, looking at the property and, you know, where the visibility, and he said visibility was a big thing, parking was another, you know, how you could, align your parking with it, and, whether or not you were gonna be providing any shaded structures as well. They'll weigh in on whether or not, you know, they would suggest a pavilion or Nani's gazebo or anything like that. So it sounds like you know, they're gonna give us a pretty comprehensive idea of what we can, you know, utilize this space for. So I'm looking forward to it, actually, to have somebody that's their profession, that's what they do, is lay out these green spaces for recreational use.
Would you include the idea of a garden? Okay, we want playground equipment and we want, you know, community garden.
We could. I was told that, there was somebody that, had already, that she said a few things to the neighbors that has been a little disconcerting. They're gonna take 3/4 of it and then share the rest. No, this would be something that would be equally shared amongst all residents. And, all residents who wanted to participate and have a garden there. How we chose who got certain plots, I guess would have to be some sort of a lottery if we moved forward with it or not. But it's not feasible to say resident A gets 3 plots when resident C only gets 1. So, you know, they would have to be done equally amongst all the plots. And, you know, if it's determined that we move forward with a garden. Do you all support that? That's a big mosquito, isn't it?
It is big.
Because I don't see any other way of doing it other than, you know, you can't tell somebody they can have 3 when somebody else only gets 1 plot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, yeah.
I guess we'd have to, get a survey of who would be interested.
We would
I was
have to.
gonna ask, there was a Facebook post where, general
Yeah, there
interest
were,
was
and there were
gauged.
several
I
people.
don't remember how many people. Do you
Yeah.
remember off the top of your head?
Like 10,
Yeah.
30, yeah.
Yeah, and that won't hold 10 plots back
Right.
there.
Right.
You know, so, you know, how do you, I mean, I hate to tell somebody, no, they can't grow food, you know what I mean?
Lottery could be the only real fair way to do it.
A
Right.
lottery
If there's
or
more
like
people than there are plots.
registration with a first come, first serve
You know,
basis.
Yeah.
You know, if understanding that there would likely be a fee, as most community gardens charge per plot, it would be the first person, you know, the first people who have submitted their registration form and paid the fee.
Yeah.
And that's how you would fill up the
That's
slot.
fair.
That's just how I've seen it done other places.
Yeah, and we would have to have someone that is spearheading this project, someone that is overseeing this project. And, because obviously the commissioners are already taxed as it is, and this could be, you know, a subcommittee that a resident could take on and handle that, because we are going to incur some fees for water expenses and things like that. Because I don't know how we do a,
Divvy it up.
yeah, and put a meter in, you know, this one watered their plot for 20 minutes and that one only used a squirt, you know, I don't know how we would do that. And I look at that as being some very debatable.
Do you know,
Thank
how
you.
much your average?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Not right off the top of my head what my average water bill is, but I have it in our budget notes,
And
yes.
I think there's, you pay a certain amount and you get to use up to a certain amount of water. And if you go over that, then your bill goes up.
No,
Is
you
that-
pay based on usage.
You pay by the gallon.
You pay based on usage, and then you pay waste and sewer based
Right.
on usage. So not only would we be paying for the water, but you would also be paying for waste and sewage on it as well, drainage. So,
I did have another resident who agreed to sort of help research how other gardens are run and how they handle the water expenses and management issues. She's not here tonight, she
Okay.
also.
could you
runs
all
a
maybe
soccer
work together and bring a report to us for the
Yeah.
next meeting? Would you mind to do
No,
that?
not at
Okay. That would give us some more in-depth information to go on,
Mhm.
and everybody can make an informed decision based on the information you provide us.
Sure.
We're not quite to the planning season yet, and we also, again, I would like to see what Metro Louisville brings to us on the playground and recreational layout of the property. So, we did receive a request to, explore and look at our building ordinance. Stan and I have been talking about this at great length. I have a copy here for everyone.
Now, did you have one?
Okay,
Ordinance one.
yeah, 2022. I know, Lois, when you all went through some time ago the ordinances, do you remember what suggestions were made on this ordinance?
No, I wish I've got my notes at home.
Okay, one of the things that I do remember was for outbuildings, meaning specifically garages. We've had this come up in the not so distant past with the facade not matching the existing property. And one of the things that it was suggested that we put in our ordinance was that the garage had to substantially, equivalently match the existing property. We've had a couple of pole barns that have been put up that don't match the structures of the original dwelling,
That's in this one here.
and needs to be strengthened in our ordinance is what.
Yeah, but I mean, it's right there, it says.
It says that, but it's not, specifically that it says, yes. Yes, it needs to be, more defined, I guess you could say, in the ordinance.
And you know, I don't know how many people know about it, you know.
Well, they do when they contact us and tell us that they're starting it, we always let them know that. So I'd like for you all to look over this, we'll meet with Stan, but, you know, and, this is just for your review tonight, so you can have it as it was requested that we take a look at it.
For a while there were people coming in with plans and stuff, right?
Yes.
To get approval.
I
Yes.
think a lot of people don't come
Are
in
they-
with plans.
Yes.
Just not doing that anymore.
I don't know if they know, even though they're supposed to, or, I mean. I
Some
don't
of them do, and they have, but not everyone does that. And we wanna make sure that they're aware of it. If we put it in our newsletter, you know, it's on, hopefully we can get, there was a resident that was gonna help on the website, but I haven't seen her in a while. And, so, yeah. Those are new resident letters. I made copies for Lonnie, so we can hopefully revisit that and make any changes that Stan may suggest, given the fact that we've had the,
So is this, I'm assuming the troubling words here are conformity and harmony, because it's
yeah,
very,
interpretive.
yeah. And this applies to, this isn't just garages, right? This is all construction, like if I wanna build a
Shed.
then my shed has to
Right.
basically look up my house. Okay.
It also, I don't believe in, and this, I just started looking at it tonight as well when I made the copies. It also doesn't say in here that, it can't be any taller in height.
I was noticing there's no size definition
Yeah,
of it, so
it can't be any taller in height than
go to Home Depot and get.
your existing, yeah. We ran into
Oh, I
this,
see what you're
yeah.
saying, yeah.
yeah, we ran into this with a property here on Cross Creek on 2 occasions. And we ran into this with a property on, Rolling Creek. And,
That was that new construction, right?
Mhm.
That, you know.
and Hollow Tree. We've got those properties that have, and then I was approached by a realtor that said, hey, you need to take a look at this, and I said, okay, you know, I'll be glad to. That was they're selling a property in the neighborhood, and the person purchasing the house wants to put up a garage. The property they're purchasing doesn't currently have a garage, and which is rare. We don't have a lot in the city that don't have garages, and they were like, we pulled the building ordinance, and it's pretty carte blanche. So you want to take a look at it and maybe strengthen it a little bit. So I said we would take a look at it. Does anybody have anything else?
I do.
Okay.
Snow removal.
Yeah.
So, you know, I live on Old Fagenbush, that street that is actually not part of Hollow Creek.
Yes, it isn't.
And so, everybody else gets, well, I know, too bad, right? Everybody else gets their streets snow removal.
Your street was done
and
this time.
Well, by a Good Samaritan, not
No.
by are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw a Good Samaritan doing it. But here's the thing, I mean, you can clean the city out really well, but if you can't get out of the neighborhood, not just Old Fagenbush there, which affects about 4 houses, but that long
It affects
stretch. Well, really, the one on the corner too, Cross Creek, and then mine, and then there's another house, and then there's another house, so really kind of 4. But then also that stretch that goes out to Fagenbush.
That's not our responsibility.
Well, I know, but what I'm asking is it possible to pay our snow removal a little bit more and ask them to do
No.
that?
You know why? It's liability. That's-
Can,
The city won't do it. City Metro Louisville won't do it.
I know.
And we aren't doing it because if our snow removal people that we hire damages or does something, then we've authorized them to work on something that we don't have the authority to work on.
can we work with Metro?
I've asked Metro to annex that to the city of Hollow Creek.
Well, not annexing or anything, but
No.
is there any kind of,
Because they won't, because they get road funds, they get federal road funds to take care of that. So they won't do that
because
because
then they have to
don't.
say that they're not taking care of
Right,
it.
because they don't wanna give us the road funds that they get to take care of it. I understand where you're coming from, but we went through this when we repaved. And I said to Metro, this is what it would cost for you to do this, and it would then conform to the city of Hollow Creek. And they said, well, it's not on the list for another 20 years for us to do that. And I have said repeatedly, if you'll just annex that to us, we'll take care of it. And that, the way they designed, it's horrible and it's very unfortunate. But I know there's you and another driveway that come right out on Old Fagginbush. And so they tell me, well, you've got two, and that's what Metro tells me, you've got two houses that are impacted by this. Because the other driveways come out on
Yeah, but I'm just
the
saying, it's
side.
not.
Oh, I know, it's not
affects
just
everybody
you,
trying to
right.
leave.
It
Yeah.
does affect anybody coming and going through
Right.
entrance one.
Right, right.
But Metro, and we got scolded by Metro for doing it once before, because they were like, you don't have the authority. And I get it, we don't technically have the authority, but we did it out of goodness and kindness and taking care of it, because let's be realistic, it's not that big,
Right,
you know,
Right.
for us to incur the additional expense to do
Right.
that. But we were told it is not your property and hands off. In a very poignant, stay in your lane kind of deal. But yeah, I don't know, when they built your house and the other house, why they didn't make those side driveways. I look at it and I think, oh, I just wish they had made those side driveways, because, you know, that would have solved a lot, because you could go out the other way. But yeah, snow removal, Rhett did that some this year. Yeah, there were 2 places in the city that did not get hit with snow removal. One, because they had 3 cars parked on the street. I monitored it.
Oh, yeah.
Remington monitored it. And Sheepdog monitored it.
was it a,
One was
Is it
a
dead
court,
end? Oh, yeah, the court.
and one was the access road, Fagginbush Lane access.
Can we, other than, because I don't want to knock on their door and be like, hey, you should move your car. Do we have another way of contacting residents when they're, because
Well,
maybe they don't have email, and if they're like me, they don't even want to touch Facebook.
they get a newsletter that tells them not to park there.
Okay,
They got the
go
city
to
of
the
Louisville
newsletter.
telling them not to park on the street.
Yeah.
This was a very well educated and informative storm. Everybody was on the news saying, get your car off the street, get your car off the street. So I received a phone call from one of the residents that lives on the access road, who was not very happy. And I said, do you not live at such and such? And they said, yes. And I said, well, was that not your car parked in front of your house? Well, and I said, and your driveway, there was space in your driveway for that car?
yeah,
So there were 3 cars that were parked there throughout the entire storm. And then right after the street was cleared, Hollow Creek Road, there was a resident that immediately moved their car from their driveway to the street. Which just because a plow has been through there, they haven't plowed the entire width of the street. And it still created some maneuvering to get through there. But during inclement weather, everybody should know, it's all over the TV, not to park there. And I understand where you're coming from with Old Fagginbush, but unfortunately Metro Louisville will not annex that to us, and we can't authorize someone to clean something that isn't
it's
ours.
so frustrating, cause you see them go right past the house, it's
Yeah.
like, drop the shovel.
Yeah,
Just drop it.
yeah. Just for a second, yeah. Can you just do this? But I completely agree and understand.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there is nothing that the city can do about that. We did get numerous calls from residents wanting to know why the snowplow didn't come and remove the snow in front of their driveway.
Oh, like the
Like
spill off?
it pushed it, yeah.
That, that happens everywhere across the city, and there is just nothing that can be done about that. I thought our snow crews did a pretty decent job, given the temperatures that they were dealing with, and, I know that Remington stayed in contact with them throughout the storm. I stayed in contact with them on and off, because it's Remington's, and he and I talked, but I thought they did a great job maneuvering and taking care of everything. Now, we did get that one light snow a couple of days later, and the decision was made it would have it melted off before, what, 2 o'clock, so we
Yeah,
didn't even,
it went
we
off
didn't
really
even,
fast.
the decision was made not to do
I
anything
think he
there.
pre-salted. I think
Yeah.
he pre-salted for that, and that was
Yeah, so I think that they did a really good job with what, you know, they had to work with. Courts are an issue. People parking in courts, I don't think they understand, you're trying to turn a school bus essentially on snow and ice in a court. And if, you know, if your vehicle is parked too close to the road and gets hit, that's on them. If you're in the road and they slide and hit you, that's on them. So I have no qualm about them backing out and not doing it, you know? That's a liability for them. So that's why we've said, if there are cars parked on the street, don't do it. But in your instance, Nani, I know there were no cars parked on the street. It's just unfortunate where your driveway is. I'm sorry. On Old Fagan Bush.
And this was a rough one too, because
It was.
It was.
it rained afterward, and then
And
it
then it
froze right
froze.
after that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We could go out for a
not that
while.
dry powdery.
Well, you know
I got to know my
what?
husband a lot
And
better.
I'm like that, so the second.
You're the
house
second
down.
house before the
And then
end.
they stop there, and
Yeah.
the people on Sparky, and I mean, I just watch people, and they just get stuck. People are pushing them, and City Metro does never cleans those streets off. Tangelo,
Right.
Sparky,
Or
Lorenzo,
over here on the other side.
and
that
St.
neighborhood
Bernard
over
had
there.
gone
Oh,
back
over
to
here.
It
school,
was terrible.
and the parents were sliding, trying to get their kids to school. They were getting stuck.
Yeah, I don't understand, why they don't do, you know, the main routes to schools that,
You know?
you know.
I said there's a school right at the end of the street, and they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, even like she said, Lure right there. You know, trying to maneuver over there was
Sad.
very, but when I looked, I worked downtown, and when I went to work and the school was back in session, I passed the Brown School on my way in, and I thought, how are those kids walking on that sidewalk? I mean, the sidewalks weren't even cleared in front of the Brown School, and I thought, why isn't Jefferson County Public Schools cleaning the sidewalks for these kids to get in and out?
Can't
None of
afford
the
to pay
sidewalks
them.
were clear in front of schools.
I
I
mean,
saw
that-
it not just at Lure, but
Right,
any school
any
you walk
school.
by. The piles from the plows were on the sidewalk, and it's ridiculous. Like as someone who walks,
Right.
it was such a hazard.
Yes.
But even just people who drop off their kids, I could go on all day. I won't.
I mean, I don't understand where student safety and faculty safety comes into play there.
Right.
You know, I mean, you have to have a little bit of common sense. I get it that it's snow and there's certain things, but what happens to their maintenance crews? You know, I don't know. I know I'm old, but when I was in school, we had a maintenance guy that was out there as soon as it started, and they were getting that salt down and, you know, making sure everything was clear and clean. And when we went to school, there was nothing. Times have changed. I get it, but yeah. So, Nani, I'm sorry.
That's the opposite of a walking uphill both ways. You didn't have to walk in snow at all.
Well, now, one thing that we did do is we had to walk out to the main drag of our neighborhood. Like if I had lived here when I went to school, the buses didn't come back in the neighborhoods. We would have had to walk out to either South Watterson Trail or Fagan Bush to catch the bus. They didn't come back in the neighborhoods when it snowed. So. Commissioners, do you have any other concerns or questions?
I was just gonna say another shout out to Sheepdog. They were putting notes
Yes,
on
they were putting notes on
that were
cars.
parked on the
Oh, okay.
streets
Yes,
2 days before the snow. So
telling
they-
them to move their
Oh,
vehicles.
well, that's good.
Yeah, so that they really have been a very good partner to us. They really have. So, does commissioners, do you have anything else? Does anyone here have any questions, concerns, any topics they want to address?
On my way up here, I drove Deep Hollow,
Yes, ma'am.
street light out, and vehicles dark parked across on either side. So,
Do you know the address where the street light was out?
in the middle of the block, no.
Okay. But on Deep Hollow?
I'm driving and not looking for the street.
I understand. So we'll ride by and at least get the address for the street
Yeah,
light.
and with the cars parked across from each other,
I know. I don't understand that. I'm not a street parker. You know, we had a driver, and you've heard me say we shuffled cars. We had a single driveway, and we shuffled cars many a night to make sure that everybody was in the position they needed to, who's leaving first. but a lot of people don't do that, and that's on them. I'm not a fan of on-street parking. That's something that the city, we took that poll and we did a vote and polled everybody, and it worked out to where people wanted to keep street parking availability. So that's where we are. But, you know, personally, it's not something that I'm in favor of. I think that it, you know, doesn't always look very good, and that, you know, cars tend to get broken into on the street more. But, so, I'm sorry that you have to, it makes it difficult when garbage trucks are trying to get through. And I know somebody's trash was mixed on Switch Park, and they called, and I happened to have been there when I was leaving for work when the garbage truck was coming down. He couldn't get to the can because somebody was parked right there.
That happened not to my neighbor.
Yeah, he
The
couldn't-
person next door to them,
Yeah.
but their car wouldn't run. I mean, the battery, she tried to go to work and,
Oh.
and so she parked from the
And
house.
she
but then
didn't even think about moving the can to where.
Didn't think, and then the, truck people, trash people couldn't get to that.
Yeah, this,
When do you all come out with the new, yard pickup? Because I don't think you have it.
yeah, I thought it,
Oh,
yeah,
the
it was
schedule?
posted.
Yeah, and I did it through March, I believe, but I'll go ahead and post for the next several months on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Because I know they, you know, when the snow was on, they didn't get that.
They missed a week.
Yeah.
They missed
Yeah.
a week, but
And
then
then
they,
they didn't pick
But
it
when
up
they
the
picked-
immediate week after. Well, for recycling they didn't. Yard waste they might.
yeah, they did,
Well, and
so then
some of
that
it
was
was
the off
frozen.
week. So then the next week, did they pick it up? Are we back on schedule? Are we back to
I
every?
thought
The
we are
dates
back on-
didn't change.
The
Yeah.
dates did not
They did
change.
not
I thought it was
But
just
they were
fine.
told, the following week when they started running, Waste Management was told to pick up anything that they could that was out there. So if it was sitting at the curb, other than the frozen leaf bags on Watch Hill, they could not get those. The yard waste people, when they were, you know, he said if we keep pulling and tugging, they're just gonna burst. And, so they left those. But they were told to pick up anything that was at the curb when they came back to us after that. Nani, if we could just get a year's worth of dates printed up, we'll lay it up
Yeah,
here.
that's good, we'll do that,
That way, then they could just grab it
yeah.
and they could stick it on their refrigerator or whatever the case may be. I wish we could get a set like it's the 1st and the 3rd of every month, but they won't do that to us. It's a rolling every other. Yeah, it would make it so nice if they would just do that for us, but unfortunately, we're not the powers that be in that arena. So, does anybody have anything else? No? Okay. And we would, like I said, if you will send that,
I have it right here, actually.
Okay.
It shows it.
okay, I'm sure he's probably gonna need it in print. Do you mind if I adjourn the meeting?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. If commissioners, if you have nothing else, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.